Apex has been in a good position lately, the developers have been listening, we've been getting some good content, and the game feels pretty good, especially with Wildcard. But amongst all of this, there's one aspect of the game which everybody, including the developers, have kind of forgotten about. And that is the story of Apex, because for the first 22 seasons of Apex, we had a pretty solid story which continued season to season and even had small animated episodes. But pretty much past season 22, the lore has not moved at all. Seriously, can you think like over the last year of any changes to Apex's story? Me neither. So, to look at the big plans EA has for Apex's story, and if Apex's story will come back, we have to start at the start. Back in Season 0 and Season 1, Respawn were pretty much setting up Apex's lore and getting people introduced to the characters. They did some world building around Kings Canyon, the only map at the time, especially around the Repulsor Tower, which was keeping Leviathans and Flyers, the local wildlife, away from the map, which made it pretty surprising when in Season 2, the Repulsor Tower was taken down by a mysterious figure, Crypto, who wasn't even the legend in Season 2. Instead, Watson was the legend to release in Season 2, as she was the ring engineer for the Apex games. Within this season, the legends had to deal and fight with the wildlife which were unleashed on Kings Canyon by Crypto. Moving on to Season 3 though, Crypto does become an official legend in the game, and because of the devastation on Kings Canyon, the games moved to World's Edge, the new map. Crypto's story was basically he wanted to find the person who framed him and caused him to have to ditch his former identity and go undercover as Crypto instead of Tajun Park. And also it was revealed that World's Edge is where Bloodhound grew up. They had a deep connection to this place. Moving on to the back end of Season 3, the next legend is introduced to be released in Season 4, Forge, until he's assassinated by Revenant, who takes his place as the new legend. In this season, Hammond Robotics increases their occupation of World's Edge by adding the Harvester, which totally wrecks World's Edge and causes giant lava fissures and destroys the central city. They absolutely devastated this place, which Bloodhound wasn't happy with because this is their home. Moving on to Season 5 though, we go back to Kings Canyon, where the map changes are revealed. Schooltown has been blown up completely off the map, and this explosion was indirectly caused by Loba, who is the new legend. Her story is she is searching for Revenant to get revenge on him, because Revenant killed her parents. During this season, the new legend Loba instructs the legends to find artifacts for her, and after several weeks of the legends collecting and combining these artifacts, the legends take the final artifact to a bunker on Kings Canyon, where they realise they must put the artifact on this mysterious body. And lo and behold, when they put the artifact onto the body, it turns out to be Ash's head, and now the legends have revived Ash, a major character from Titanfall 2. Moving on to Season 6 though, we return to World's Edge, as Rampart joins the games. Also, World's Edge has seen a new map update, where Hammond have erected even more buildings, potentially in an effort to repair the damage they created with the Planet Harvester. But there was something weird. One of the new Hammond point of interest that popped up, launch site, held a giant rocket. Destination unknown. Over in the comics during Season 6, they were loosely based around Ash, who kept bringing up Olympus. The story was getting weird, but it all started to make sense in Season 7, where, at the start of Season 7, the rocket in World's Edge took off, and the legends actually chased it. As the rocket made a jump, the legends decided to jump to the same place, and it turns out they popped out overlooking our new map, Olympus. It seems Ash was really onto something constantly talking about Olympus, because here it is. And also, as we did arrive at Olympus, Horizon became a new legend. She was an Olympus native with a mission to find her lost son. She lost her son because Ash, back in her human form, shot Horizon into a black hole to get rid of her. But at this time, Ash wasn't in the Apex games, so Horizon didn't really have much to worry about. As the season progresses, the legends do pick up a mission to help Horizon find her son. Over to Season 8 though, Fuse joins the Apex games and were taken back to Kings Canyon, which was newly devastated by Mad Maggie during Fuse's Apex Games inauguration ceremony. The way Mad Maggie sabotaged this ceremony was by blowing up the ship Fuse was on, which caused this point of interest to appear, a crashed ship, and also a whole new area of Kings Canyon to be carved out because Maggie used that many explosions to sabotage the ceremony. Moving over to Season 9 though, this is a big season, as Valkyrie, the daughter of Viper from Titanfall 2, is introduced, and a weird ghost ship pulls up to Olympus. It covers Olympus in parasitic vines, and these vines are so infectious they end up killing a few people, which causes Olympus to start an effort to make a cure. This causes Olympus to become a quarantine zone, and completely despite that, the Apex games continue in the quarantine zone, as all the legends fight amongst the apparently deadly infectious vines. Also, a three-way love triangle was started between Valkyrie, Loba, and Bangalore in this season, which is still referenced today. In Season 10, we go back towards Edge, as it's slowly repaired from the damage caused by the Harvester. The Harvester is turned off, and the lava around World's Edge does slightly subside. As well as this, some machines which create snow and a colder climate are put up around certain areas of World's Edge to make it a bit more diverse and a bit more cool. The repairs on World's Edge are starting, but this is only because Hammond pushed World's Edge to its absolute limits, to the point where in-game earthquakes were affecting it. Bloodhound is very mad about this and goes full eco-warrior because of the curse and absolute devastation that Hammond and its Harvester have brought towards Edge, which is why right now Harvester has tribal markings on it. Bloodhound feels guilt that they let this happen, but World's Edge slowly starts to see reclamation from nature. Over to Season 11, an unlikely face returns. Ashe returns as a full legend this time. Her body was reactivated by Horizon, who has figured out who Ashe is and is very mad, because Ashe is the prime reason Horizon is now separated from her only son. This creates a pretty harsh rivalry where Horizon uses her worst insults, like Heartless Toaster. As well as this, the Apex games move onto a new planet, Gaia, and the Apex arena finds a new home on Stormpoint, an island that harnesses its adverse weather to generate electricity for a nearby city, E-District, which surely won't become a map in the future, right guys? In Season 12, another face returns to the Apex games. Mad Maggie, who had previously sabotaged the Apex games all the way back in Season 8 and caused all of the destruction on Kings Canyon, is now forced into the Apex games, and the games have been used as a punishment for Mad Maggie, so they are essentially her prison, which probably makes her a bit more mad. And to add on to that madness, Eduardo Silva, the newly introduced villain of the Apex games, sabotages Olympus and blames it on Maggie. This sabotage causes Olympus to be teleported to a completely new area, drop hundreds of meters, and to essentially now have corrupted areas around the map. This is all pinned on Maggie just to make people hate her even more. Eduardo Silva is essentially using Maggie as a scapegoat for all of his issues. Over to Season 13 though, a new legend is introduced, Newcastle. Nobody really knows who he is, he's just some random guy. This is until, on just a normal match of the Apex games over on Stormpoint, suddenly a giant sea monster attacks Stormpoint, which causes all of the legends who would normally be fighting to have to team up and kill this giant sea monster which is invading the games. Luckily, through pure teamwork, the legends do manage to fell this monster. Not without injury though. A few of the legends get injured, and one of them is Newcastle. Bangalore goes to tend to this new guy who just joined the Apex games, until she realizes something. This is her long lost brother who she thought was dead, and her first reaction isn't to be happy that he's alive, but mad she was never told he was alive. So a sibling rivalry starts. Newcastle is sorry and Bangalore is very angry. Also, the giant dead sea monster becomes a point of interest. Over to Season 14, honestly it's one of the most quiet seasons in a while, although it does start with an animated trailer where a new legend is introduced, Vantage. She doesn't really have any other connection to other legends, but her mother creates a really interesting plot device where she could join in the future. Also, Kings Canyon does see some repairs and Schooltown is re-added but in a new form. Over to Season 15, Catalyst joins the Apex games and the games move to a new map, Broken Moon. Catalyst is pretty similar to Bloodhound because she's defending her home planet from the exploitation of Hammond and other major companies. Although she definitely takes a few more radical approaches to getting the occupying forces away from her planet. Over to Season 16, Respawn starts spinning up a story called Kill Code, where Lifeline, Maggie and Loba are trying to hunt down and find the truth about Eduardo Silva, until they discover something crazy. Eduardo Silva Silver is experimenting with Revenant for some reason. As the seasons go on, Respawn release more parts of this, so we'll touch back on kill code later. But at season 17, they added a new legend called Ballistic, who actually has a pretty cool backstory. He was a part of the very early version of the Apex games, the Thunderdome. Essentially, before the Apex games became this big televised event that it is, it was just a small arena tournament on Kings Canyon organised by Cuban Blisk from Titanfall, and Ballistic and his partner were big contenders within the Thunderdome, until, due to Ballistic's own negligence, his partner died, which he blamed himself for, and he spiraled for so many years. Until Ballistic's son wanted to join the Apex games. Ballistic had a really bad relationship with his son, but he didn't want his son to succumb to the same issue as his partner in the Thunderdome. So, at gunpoint, he forces the head of the Apex games to give him the slot of joining the Apex games instead of his son, which is agreed upon. Additionally, in the season, World's Edge got an update where Fragment had major repairs, and also a new museum celebrating the Apex games was erected in Fragment. Over to season 18 of Apex, Respawn revealed that Revenant has got a new body supplied to him by Eduardo Silva. This new body gives him better abilities and also the ability to control a whole army of Revenant clones. Over the next few months, these clones cause havoc in the Apex games, and they're actively hostile to pretty much every single legend. This is until season 19, where Respawn add Conduit as a legend and also a new LTM, the Revenant Army LTM. And essentially in this mode, the legends create an alliance to survive against the Revenant armies. And when the legends survived in this mode, Loba seemed to finally get revenge on Revenant by ripping one of his clones' heads off and finally succeeding in a fight against this killer who killed her parents. And then, honestly, pretty much past this point, the Apex story really tapers off with the end of the kill code story. During season 20, we don't get much story, and the last major story we get is in season 21, where Respawn adds Alta, who for some reason is obsessed with Horizon and Horizon's son. Alta is a woman who travels between dimensions to see those individual dimensions come to an end in a cataclysmic event. So the fact that she turned up to our dimension and stuck around is pretty foreboding, and she seems to be trying to encourage the end of this world. In season 23, due to Ash smashing up an Arc Shard, rifts appear all over the skies throughout the Apex games, and these rifts drop gifts, like EPGs and power-ups. These rifts also cause a Lifeline rework, as Doc gets sucked into a rift. Lifeline reaches in to fetch Doc, and it closes around her hand. She does manage to retrieve Doc in a very destroyed state, and her hand is absolutely mauled. This causes her to repair Doc and give him some new upgrades, basically giving a lore explanation for the Lifeline rework and the reason she has a new skin with a metal hand. In the next season, season 24, there's pretty much no story. In season 25, Sparrow is added, who comes with some story, but never really affects the story of Apex, and the story of Apex never moves on. And over in season 26, we've had no animated story videos, no particular crazy amount of story, only a few voice lines trying to progress certain parts of the story or tie up other parts. The story for this game has seriously slowed down, so why has that happened? And is it deliberate? Because many people really enjoyed the story of Apex. Well, there's actually a few reasons to why the Apex story might have slowed down, and we have recent proof that the Apex story might be coming back in a very big way. To start off though, what could be the causes of this? Well, maybe the lore just isn't a priority for Apex anymore, which is a genuine possibility because it would be better for Respawn to put more money into the development of content for this game rather than lore. Also, we have seen people who write lore for Apex have actually been getting laid off. In fact, the person who wrote Sparrow's lore was laid off a day before Sparrow came out, which was pretty crazy honestly. So maybe the budget for the lore has just gone way down because Respawn thought people don't care about it that much, but they care about other aspects more. But there's another potential cause. If we step back and look at the window the lore slowed down in, we can actually see that there was a video game voice actor strike during this time. This strike went on for a hell of a long time, and basically while this strike was active, the Apex voice actors could not record voice lines for the game. So Respawn weren't able to record new voice lines, and had to basically use voice lines that were in their backlog. Of course, this strike ended recently, and the voice actors are back on the game, but this did cause some issues within the game's development. Like when Arsenals came out, there were no ping voice lines for them, and same with the Power Sword, and we probably lost out on some other content because of this strike. But another potential cause for the lack of lore could just be many factors, like the voice actor strike, like lore becoming less of a priority, and maybe Respawn just had too many stories open that they weren't able to wrap up. But don't give up yet, because there are some good signs the Apex story may be coming back. For example, in the last few seasons, Respawn have slowly been reintroducing Blisk to the story, who was last seen in Season 9, until he disappeared from the Apex story completely and only reappeared a few seasons ago, about 10 seasons after he disappeared. Blisk has always been a character that causes big change in the Apex lore because he is the commissioner of the Apex games, so him being directly in control and in the story could lead to big story changes within the Apex games. Also, now the voice actor strike has finished, a load of voice lines hit Apex this season. We got absolutely tons of story voice lines, creating new mini stories, repairing character relationships, and I guess just doing everything Respawn wasn't able to do during the voice actor strike. You may have heard a few of them, like Mirage and Wraith have voice lines, Fuse and Maggie have voice lines, and many other legends have voice lines, which could be a good sign Respawn are trying to get the story on a solid track. But I personally think Respawn should stop all of these mini stories and just go with one main story. Maybe lean into the beef between Horizon, Ash, and Alter. That could be pretty cool. But one major thing to do with the story recently is the fact that the president of Electronic Arts said they are motivated to tell the Apex Legends story in different media forms, like a potential TV show. They said players don't have all the backstory, the history, and there's just rich worlds and rich history with these characters and these legends that can come to life through linear media and partnerships. We're pretty motivated to do that, and doing that in a way that really respects and upholds the brand and franchise. So potentially we could get an Apex Legends TV show in the future, and maybe Apex is slowing down the lore on their game so they can just do a big lore drop within a TV show, which is wishful thinking, but EA are no strangers to moving their games to TV shows and movies, as there's currently a Sims movie in development. God knows what that could possibly look like, but you know, if it makes EA a bit more comfortable with making an Apex TV show, I'm all with it. We have honestly had really dark times with the Apex lore lately, like it's genuinely not gone anywhere, and loads of people have just forgot Apex even has a story, but there are genuine chances the story can expand, if not in the game, in other ways. So if you're excited for this, subscribe to the channel because maybe this will be the first place you'll hear about an Apex TV show.